There is a divine current of abundance, a river of prosperity, always flowing, always seeking expression through us. Many believe money is hard, scarce, or bound by struggle, but this is only the illusion of fear. The truth is that supply is as unlimited as the air we breathe. And the moment one aligns with the higher law of good, provision appears as swiftly as light follows the dawn. Instant money is not born from chance or manipulation. It is the outward evidence of inner alignment with universal substance. The code is not numbers nor secrets locked in books. It is the eternal principle of cause and effect working through thought, word, and belief. Every spoken word is a seed, and every seed brings forth after its kind. To speak of lack is to plant lack. To declare abundance is to summon it from the unseen into the seen. The instant money code is nothing less than the conscious recognition that wealth already exists, and that one is heir to it by divine right. Money is a symbol, a servant, an instrument of exchange. It is neither holy nor unholy, except as one calls it. To see it rightly is to free it from bondage and to allow it to circulate without fear. When the mind is filled with anxiety, money seems to vanish. When the heart is filled with gratitude, money arrives like a trusted friend. Gratitude is a magnet, faith is a conductor, and words are the key that unlock the treasury. The instant money code is written in the language of affirmation. One must declare, "I am rich in divine ideas, and these ideas manifest as gold in my hands." Such a statement is not empty, but creative. It sets unseen forces into motion. For thought impregnated with faith becomes form. A mind convinced of lack will prove it. A mind convinced of abundance will demonstrate it instantly. To live by the code is to refuse fear's suggestion. It is to stand unwavering when appearances seem small, and to remember that the invisible supply is greater than any visible demand. Just as the sun does not ration its light, so the source does not ration its wealth. One need only open the window of belief to let it in. The instant money code is the remembrance that we are never beggars, but rightful inheritors of every good thing. Opportunities, ideas, and unexpected channels are merely forms taken by the one infinite supply. The law is swift, exact, and unfailing. The moment one releases the thought of limitation, the channel clears, and money flows instantly, in ways both expected and miraculous. Thus, the code is lived by faith, spoken with authority, and sealed with gratitude. It is not learned in time but revealed in consciousness. To align with it is to enter into the effortless rhythm of prosperity, where every need is met in perfect timing, and every desire is fulfilled without toil. Abundance flows as naturally as breath, for it is the eternal rhythm of life itself, unbroken, unceasing, and forever available. Just as no one stops to question whether there will be enough air to inhale, so should no one question the availability of divine supply. Air is unseen, yet it fills the lungs the moment one draws it in. Wealth is the same, invisible in essence, but instantly present the moment the mind allows it to flow. Lack arises only when one holds the breath, clutches in fear, or believes that the atmosphere is limited. The truth is that the universe is generous beyond measure, a storehouse without walls, and every soul is heir to its inexhaustible treasures. When one observes nature, the evidence of abundance is everywhere. A single tree produces thousands of leaves in a single season, and countless seeds fall, more than will ever be needed to reproduce its kind. The ocean never ceases to pour waves upon the shore, wave after wave, without effort or scarcity. Stars scatter across the sky in numbers beyond imagination, each one burning with endless energy, not rationed, not limited. The rhythm of abundance is written into creation itself, and to live in harmony with this rhythm is to recognize that money, opportunities, and resources flow in the same boundless way. Many hold the false belief that abundance is earned only through struggle, that it must be chased, fought for, or withheld. Yet this is no more true than the belief that one must battle for every breath of air. The body does not strain to receive oxygen, it simply allows the intake. In the same way, the consciousness that releases fear and invites supply becomes a clear vessel through which money flows. Strain blocks the channel, while surrender opens it wide. effort is not the source of abundance. It is alignment that reveals it. The instant money code speaks through this law. That supply is always present, always waiting for recognition. Abundance is not created by man's effort, but acknowledged by man's faith. One who trusts the process of breath does not gasp in terror. Will the next breath be there? But receives with confidence, and so it is with wealth. The fearful heart imagines shortage, but the fearless one rests in the assurance that provision is perpetual. To understand abundance as breath is to see that circulation is essential. Just as inhaling requires exhaling, so does receiving require giving. If one were to hold the breath and refuse to release it, suffocation would follow. In the same way, clinging to money in fear of loss creates stagnation. The law of circulation requires that what is received must also flow outward, so that the current of prosperity remains unbroken. To give in joy is to breathe out, and to receive in faith is to breathe in. Both movements are necessary, both are sacred, and both confirm the truth that supply is endless. Consider how quietly and naturally the breath sustains life. One does not direct it consciously for every moment, and yet it continues, faithful and steady. Abundance works in the same silent certainty, moving through channels seen and unseen, providing without ceasing. When the mind is quieted and the heart is still, one can feel this rhythm, a pulse of provision as constant as the heartbeat. Money becomes less of a chase and more of a current, arriving at the right moment, from the right direction, in perfect sufficiency. Fear whispers of competition, as though the air belonged more to one than another, as though there were not enough to go around. Yet who would argue that the atmosphere is divided by borders or restricted by claim? The wind blows freely, touching all, favoring none, withholding from none. So too does the flow of abundance operate without partiality. Each individual stands beneath an open sky of infinite supply, and it is only the belief in limitation that causes one to feel deprived. Breath teaches the lesson of trust. No one stands awake through the night reminding themselves to inhale, fearing that oxygen might fail. The body knows. The breath flows, and sleep is peaceful. Imagine if the same trust were placed in the flow of wealth. How restful life would become. How free from anxiety, how open to creativity. To trust that abundance flows as breath is to live without the strain of constant worry. To live instead in the assurance that needs are met in divine timing, through perfect channels, without resistance. The rhythm of abundance is not hurried, nor is it delayed. It comes as naturally as the rise and fall of the chest, the steady cycle of inhale and exhale. When one becomes attuned to this truth, desperation dissolves. There is no need to clutch at life, for life itself is giving ceaselessly. The focus turns inward, toward cultivating receptivity, faith, and gratitude, rather than outward toward chasing and striving. Gratitude, in particular, is the deep breath of the soul, the acknowledgement of supply already present, and this acknowledgement multiplies what is received. In moments of fear, when money seems scarce, pause and breathe. Notice how air rushes in without effort. Notice how it supports life without price or condition. Let this be the reminder that supply is equally present, equally free, equally dependable. To meditate on the breath is to meditate on abundance itself. For both are gifts of the same source, flowing without interruption. There is also a sacred rhythm in the balance of giving and receiving, much like the balance of inhalation and exhalation. When one learns to give freely, without fear of depletion, one affirms trust in the endless source. And when one receives without guilt, one affirms worthiness. Both movements strengthen the current, and through them, money flows in ways that appear instant, effortless, and abundant. Words are seeds that manifest wealth, for every utterance carries within it the germ of creation. The tongue is not a simple instrument of speech, but the very sour of destiny. When one speaks, vibrations are released into the unseen, and these vibrations gather substance, drawing to themselves the exact likeness of the words declared. To speak lack is to sow lack, and to speak abundance is to sow abundance. Just as a farmer plants corn and does not expect wheat, so too does the mind and tongue plant according to their kind. No careless word is without fruit, and no deliberate word fails to bring forth its harvest in due season. Consider how the natural world mirrors this principle. A tiny seed, so small it may be overlooked, carries the blueprint of the towering tree, the orchard, the harvest. Within the smallest acorn lies the strength of oak forests, and within the smallest spoken word lies the power to shape reality. When one declares prosperity, even in the face of appearances that contradict it, the declaration is like planting a seed beneath the soil. The ground may look barren, but unseen roots are forming, unseen forces are responding, and in perfect time the harvest appears. Words may seem intangible, but they are containers of energy, and energy crystallizes into form. To understand that words are seeds is to recognize that casual complaints, murmurs of fear, or repeated affirmations of struggle are not harmless. Each one is planted in the fertile soil of consciousness, and the soil does not discriminate between weeds or fruitful seeds. It gives life to whatever is sown. When one constantly says, "I never have enough," or "money is hard to come by," the soil of mind accepts these declarations as commands and produces after their kind. In contrast, when one speaks, "I am rich in divine ideas," or "wealth flows to me freely and easily," the soil accepts this command as well, and prepares to manifest it in visible experience. The instant money code rests upon this awareness. Wealth begins not with coins or paper, but with words. A word is the beginning of a chain that moves from vibration to thought, from thought to belief, from belief to action, and from action to manifestation. Every fortune ever built began first with a spoken declaration, whether aloud or within the secret chambers of the mind, and every failure has likewise been rooted in repeated declarations of defeat. Words are not idle, they are laws spoken into existence, and once spoken, they set unseen forces into motion. One must therefore guard the tongue as a sacred instrument. It is not enough to think positively while speaking negatively, for the spoken word carries power in its vibration. A mind filled with faith that utters words of doubt is like a gardener planting weeds among flowers. The weeds will compete for life and often choke out the harvest. This is why discipline of speech is essential, for the tongue reveals the direction of belief. To speak wealth is to affirm wealth, and to affirm wealth is to call it forth. Observe how the simplest phrases influence the body and spirit. To say, "I am tired," repeatedly brings heaviness, yet to say, "I am filled with energy," awakens a spark even before the body has caught up. In the same way, saying, "I am poor," creates heaviness of lack, while "I am prosperous" awakens the energy of supply. The body responds to words, circumstances bend to words, and unseen channels open to match the vibration of words. To live carelessly with speech is to plant thorn and briar, but to live consciously with speech is to plant garden and orchard. The breath carries words as wind carries seeds. Each statement made is carried outward, scattered into the soil of the universe, and from that scattering, life grows. If one could see the invisible realm, they would behold fields sprouting with every kind of plant, some strong with prosperity, some tangled with fear. Depending on the nature of words spoken, the wise cultivator clears away the weeds of negative confession and chooses carefully each seed sown, knowing the harvest is inevitable. Words not only declare but also direct the subconscious. The subconscious is like fertile ground that does not question the quality of seed. It simply obeys. Repeated affirmations, spoken with conviction, impress upon the subconscious a pattern, and once impressed, the pattern reproduces itself faithfully. To say, "Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways," again and again is to etch a groove in consciousness, a groove through which money must flow. Repetition is watering the seed, conviction is sunlight, and gratitude is nourishment. The harvest is certain, for the subconscious cannot resist the law of suggestion once it is impressed. There is also the power of spoken words to influence others and circumstances. When one speaks with confidence, doors open. When one speaks with assurance of prosperity, opportunities are drawn, for people respond not only to what is said, but to the vibration behind it. A merchant who speaks of abundance attracts buyers, A leader who speaks of vision attracts followers. An individual who speaks of wealth attracts wealth, for the world echoes back the vibration it receives. The law works impersonally, responding to the words spoken without judgment. Words can also cancel one another if spoken carelessly. To affirm abundance in the morning and complain of lack by the afternoon is to plant and uproot. Plant and uproot, leaving the soil barren. Consistency is the secret, for consistency allows roots to grow deep. When one decides that every word shall be aligned with prosperity, then the subconscious is not confused, and the universe is not given mixed signals. The harvest comes swiftly because the ground is not disturbed. Children understand this principle without knowing it consciously. They repeat phrases, songs, and declarations, and soon they live within the world those words create. Adults, too, are repeating scripts daily, phrases about struggle, survival, or lack, and they live within the world those scripts dictate. Yet at any moment, the script can change. A single word of truth spoken with faith can uproot years of negative declaration, for light is always stronger than shadow. To begin anew is as simple as choosing new words, planting new seeds, and tending them with care. The wealth one seeks is already within the spoken word, waiting to unfold. The invisible responds immediately when the right words are spoken with belief. Words are not mere symbols but keys that unlock unseen doors, formulas that summon invisible supply into visible form. The more deliberately one speaks, the more swiftly the invisible becomes visible. Thus, every conversation is a planting, every sentence a field, every word a destiny forming. Gratitude is the magnet of money, for gratitude is the acknowledgement of supply already present, and what is acknowledged expands. It is the unseen force that draws multiplied blessings, just as a magnet pulls iron without effort. Gratitude is not merely polite words spoken when something arrives, but a living attitude that radiates appreciation before, during, and after the manifestation of wealth. It is the spiritual law that whatever one thanks for increases, for the universe responds to recognition. To say, thank you, to life is to invite more life. To say, thank you, for money is to invite more money, and to say, thank you, for opportunities is to open the door for greater opportunities. Money is not drawn by worry, nor by desperate desire, but by the calm assurance of appreciation. Gratitude is that assurance. When one is thankful even in smallness, the smallness transforms into largeness. The individual who finds one coin on the street and rejoices, saying, "Thank you, more of this," has sound a vibration that must bring more coins, more notes, more avenues of increase. The one who frowns at the small coin and says, "This is nothing," has shut the channel, for the universe cannot multiply what is despised. Every sum, no matter how small, carries the seed of greater sums, and gratitude waters that seed. Gratitude lifts the mind from the appearance of lack into the consciousness of abundance. When the eyes are fixed on what is missing, the heart grows heavy, the speech grows negative, and the soil of thought is sown with weeds of limitation. But when the eyes turn toward what is present, however slight, and gratitude fills the heart, the vibration shifts. Lack dissolves, abundance quickens, channels open. Gratitude is the bridge between what is and what is to come, the invisible force that aligns man with his divine inheritance of wealth. One may test this law in daily life. Begin by thanking for the money already in hand, however modest. Thank the dollar in the pocket, the coins in the drawer, the food on the table, the clothes on the body, the roof overhead. As gratitude flows, the vibration rises, and new supply is attracted. Soon unexpected gifts arrive, new streams of income appear, and money comes in ways unforeseen. Gratitude is a magnetic field and money is drawn to it as metal to lodestone. It cannot resist, for the vibration of thanks is the vibration of abundance itself. It is not only money that responds to gratitude, but all good things. Health strengthens under the light of thanks, relationships flourish, doors open. Yet when gratitude is directed specifically toward wealth, it becomes a direct channel for prosperity. To wake each morning and say, "Thank you for the wealth that flows to me today," is to align consciousness with the flow of supply. To retire at night and say, Thank you for the abundance received today, is to seal the day with recognition and prepare the soil for a greater tomorrow. Gratitude shifts the inner language from complaint to praise. Complaint repels, for complaint is a declaration of lack. When one says, "I never have enough," the universe affirms it with matching evidence. When one says, "I am grateful for the money I have and the money that is coming," the universe affirms that as well. Words of gratitude carry creative power because they are spoken with joy, and joy multiplies the substance of life. The magnetic pull of thanks draws not only visible wealth, but also unseen opportunities, connections, and ideas that result in financial increase. Observe how gratitude transforms the spirit even before external change arrives. The heart grows light, the mind grows clear, the body relaxes. In this state, one becomes receptive, open, and ready to notice opportunities that may otherwise be overlooked. A grateful person sees doors where others see walls, solutions where others see problems, paths where others see dead ends. Gratitude is not passive. It is the active state of expectancy, the awareness that good is here and more is on the way. Consider the farmer who waters his field. He does not curse the seed for being hidden, nor despair because the harvest is unseen. He waters, tends, and waits with trust, knowing that the crop is inevitable. Gratitude is that water. Each "thank you" spoken over money already present and money yet unseen is a watering of the seed of prosperity. In due time, the harvest appears. For the soil of life cannot deny what has been faithfully nourished with thanks. Gratitude also breaks the chain of envy and comparison. When one envies the wealth of another, the vibration is one of lack and separation, which blocks the flow of personal supply. But when one says, "Thank you that abundance is possible, for I see it demonstrated," the vibration becomes one of alignment, and what is acknowledged in another is drawn closer to the self. Gratitude dissolves jealousy, replacing it with celebration, and what is celebrated is invited. Even in moments where money seems absent, gratitude works its quiet power. To say, "Thank you for the unseen supply that is already on its way," is to shift from despair into faith. This declaration acknowledges that the invisible is as real as the visible, and gratitude bridges the gap until manifestation occurs. Gratitude in lack is the strongest magnet, for it proves trust in the law of abundance. Where trust is strong, supply hastens, for the channel is clear of fear and resistance. Gratitude also keeps circulation alive. Just as breathing requires inhaling and exhaling, prosperity requires giving and receiving. Gratitude makes both movements joyous. When one gives money with thanks, the vibration says, "There is more where this came from," and the universe affirms it with return. When one receives with thanks, the vibration says, "I am worthy and ready for more," and the universe affirms that as well. Gratitude ensures that money never stagnates but flows in rhythm, increasing with each cycle. Every act of gratitude is a declaration of abundance, a statement that says, "I live in a giving universe." This declaration shifts every circumstance, for the universe mirrors back the conviction held within. Gratitude is the secret frequency of prosperity, the song of the soul that attracts its own harmony. When sung consistently, life becomes a symphony of provision, with money appearing from near and far, expected and unexpected, visible and invisible. Faith transforms thought into form, for faith is the invisible power that clothes the unseen with substance and makes the intangible visible. Thought alone may drift as shadow, but when charged with faith, it becomes magnetic, alive, and irresistible to manifestation. Every invention, every fortune, every achievement first began as thought, yet not all thoughts are born into form. It is faith that quickens them, the divine spark that commands the unseen to take shape in the world of matter. Without faith, thought is a seed left unplanted. With faith, thought is a seed pressed into fertile soil, destined to sprout and bear fruit. Faith does not require sight, for sight looks only at what already exists. Faith looks beyond appearances, sees with the eye of spirit, and knows that the desired good is already accomplished in the invisible. To think of money without faith is to wish weakly. To think of money with faith is to create it surely. Faith holds the image steady when outer conditions deny it. Faith stands unmoved when circumstances shout lack. Faith knows that the invisible law of abundance is stronger than any temporary condition. It takes hold of the unseen substance of prosperity and molds it into form. Just as the sculptor sees the statue within the marble long before the chisel strikes. Every man and woman holds within the mind countless thoughts of wealth, but only those wrapped in faith take root. Idle thoughts scatter like seeds on barren rock, but faith-filled thoughts sink deep into the soil of consciousness and draw to themselves everything needed for growth. To say, "I am wealthy," with doubt is to speak empty words, but to say, "I am wealthy," with unwavering faith is to issue a command to the universe that must be obeyed. Faith is authority. Faith is law spoken with certainty. Faith is the unseen architect building wealth with precision. Faith does not wait for proof. It provides its own proof by holding steady until form appears. When one plants a seed in the ground, faith assures the planter that roots are forming. Shoots are rising, though nothing yet is seen. In the same way, when one holds a thought of prosperity, faith assures that channels are opening. Opportunities are forming, money is moving, though the outer world may seem silent. Faith lives in the certainty of the unseen. And this certainty brings the unseen forth into the seen. Fear is the opposite of faith, and fear also transforms thought into form, but into forms of lack, loss, and limitation. When one worries, the thought of disaster clothed in faith of dread becomes manifest, just as surely as the thought of prosperity clothed in faith of confidence. The law does not discriminate between faith in good or faith in evil. It fulfills whichever thought is believed. Thus, fear must be cast out, for it is misdirected faith. True faith is not blind, it is clear vision that chooses to believe in abundance, harmony, and success despite appearances. Faith aligns the inner world with the outer. A thought without faith remains only an idea, but a thought filled with faith creates feelings, words, and actions that all harmonize with it. To believe in wealth deeply causes one to speak of wealth, expect wealth, and act as one already wealthy. These vibrations draw wealth in visible form. The one who believes in poverty deeply speaks of lack, expects lack, and acts in fear, and so attracts lack in visible form. Faith is the difference, the subtle current that determines whether thought remains idle or becomes creation. Faith is exercised through affirmation, vision, and expectancy. When one affirms, "Money comes to me easily and constantly," faith infuses the words with power. When one holds a vision of wealth, faith keeps the vision bright, not dimmed by delay. When one expects good, faith becomes the open hand ready to receive. Faith is not struggle, for struggle implies doubt. Faith is rest, the calm assurance that the seed planted must grow, the conviction that abundance already exists and is making its way into form. The unseen substance of the universe is pliable, waiting to be shaped by faith-filled thought. Just as clay waits for the potter, so does divine substance wait for the thinker. When thought is impressed with faith, the substance begins to take shape in ways mysterious and miraculous. Opportunities arise, ideas surface, people appear, doors open. Faith is not bound by time, for it draws swiftly, and not bound by channel, for it finds ways beyond imagination. A person of faith may see money appear through unexpected avenues, yet each avenue is but the outworking of the law that thought clothed in faith becomes form. Faith also sustains persistence. Without faith, one gives up too soon, abandoning the seed before harvest. With faith, one waits with calm assurance, knowing that manifestation is certain. Many have abandoned prosperity because they allowed doubt to uproot their seed, but those who hold faith see their harvest arrive in full. Faith is the patience that knows delay is not denial. Faith is the confidence that unseen forces are working even when the eyes perceive nothing. Faith can be cultivated. It grows as it is exercised, just as muscles strengthen with use. Begin with small declarations, watch them come to pass, and faith grows for larger ones. Speak words of abundance, see them fulfilled, and faith deepens. Each demonstration strengthens conviction until faith becomes unshakable. Then even the grandest vision of wealth seems natural, for faith knows it is already accomplished. Faith transforms thought into form because faith is alignment with divine law. Divine law is abundance, harmony, and completion. When thought vibrates with faith, it is aligned with this law, and alignment produces manifestation. A thought without faith is out of tune, like a note struck wrongly on an instrument. But a thought with faith rings true, and the universe harmonizes with it. Wealth then flows, not as struggle but as music, composed by the faith of the thinker. Faith is not limited to the individual alone, for it radiates outward. When one speaks with faith, others believe. When one moves with faith, doors open. Faith has an aura, a presence, that draws cooperation, support, and favor. Those who live by faith in abundance become magnets, not only for money, but for people and opportunities that carry money with them. This is the mystery of faith's power. It transforms not only thought, but the entire atmosphere around the one who believes, creating a field of manifestation that others can feel and respond to. Supply is infinite, demand is illusion. For what appears as lack is only a shadow cast by limited perception. The truth is that the universe is an endless reservoir, overflowing with riches, ideas, opportunities, and forms of wealth, but the human mind, clouded by fear and conditioned by false belief, imagines scarcity. This imagination of scarcity creates the experience of scarcity, yet it is only illusion. The moment one lifts consciousness above fear into truth, the illusion dissolves, and the infinite supply stands revealed. The sun does not ration its light, nor does the ocean ration its waves. Air is not measured out in rations, and the earth does not withhold its fruit. Everywhere nature declares this truth, abundance is the law. Scarcity does not exist in reality. It is a construct of thought. Just as one who closes their eyes may imagine darkness has overtaken the world, yet the sun still shines, so too does one who believes in lack imagine supply has ended. Though supply continues, full and inexhaustible, money itself is but one expression of this infinite supply. Ideas are supply, energy is supply, connections are supply, inspiration is supply. There are countless forms of wealth waiting to be seen and claimed. When one declares, "There is not enough," one narrows the vision and blinds the eyes to the channels through which supply flows. But when one affirms, "Supply is infinite," the vision expands, the eyes open, and opportunities are seen where none were seen before. It is not supply that is absent but awareness that is clouded. The illusion of demand arises from fear. When one feels they must chase, compete, or struggle for what they need, they declare through thought and word that supply is limited. But this declaration has no basis in truth, for supply is as boundless as the stars in the heavens. The sense of demand is a mirage, created by forgetting that every need is already answered in divine mind. The very fact of desire proves the existence of supply, for no desire is born without its corresponding fulfillment. The bird's hunger is met with seed, the fish's need is met with water, and so too is every human desire already matched by the infinite storehouse. When one understands that supply is infinite, fear loosens its grip. No longer is life lived in anxious grasping, for one knows there is always more. Just as no one panics that air will run out with the next breath, so should no one panic that wealth will run out with the next expense. Supply is inexhaustible, endlessly renewing, pouring itself forth through channels both visible and invisible. Fear of demand closes the door, faith in infinite supply opens it wide. The illusion of demand also comes from comparison. When one sees another prosper and believes that their own share is diminished, they forget the nature of infinity. Infinity cannot be divided, cannot be lessened by another's gain. Another's wealth is not subtraction from one's own, but proof of the boundlessness of supply. Envy and competition are based on the false belief that wealth is a pie of fixed size, where one slice leaves less for another. In truth, the pie is endless, slices multiply without end. Each person taps directly into the infinite, without reducing what is available to anyone else. Supply being infinite also means channels are endless. If one door closes, another opens. If one channel dries, 10 more appear. To cling to one channel as though it is the source is to forget the truth. The job, the client, the market, the business, all are channels. But never the source. The source is infinite supply itself, unbound, unfailing, limitless. When one channel ends, it is only life redirecting the flow through another, perhaps larger, perhaps better suited. To believe demand is final is to cling to the channel and ignore the ocean. Gratitude and faith align one with this infinite supply. Gratitude acknowledges the abundance already flowing, and faith expects the abundance yet unseen. Together they dissolve the illusion of demand. When one lives in thanksgiving for what is present, one signals readiness for more. When one rests in faith for what is to come, one signals confidence that more is inevitable. These vibrations align with truth, and truth always reveals itself in form. Observe how easily nature demonstrates supply without demand. A tree does not strain for leaves, it simply receives sun and water, and leaves appear in abundance. A flower does not wrestle to bloom, it unfolds naturally, drawing sustenance from the earth. Rivers do not struggle to flow, they follow their course effortlessly. So too is human supply meant to flow, effortless, natural, constant. The illusion of demand comes from resisting this flow, damming it with fear, blocking it with doubt. To release fear is to let the current move again, and when it moves in abundance. Consider how often people magnify the illusion of demand by repeating words of lack. There isn't enough. I can't afford this. Times are hard. These words are declarations of illusion, seeds planted in the soil of thought that grow into harvests of scarcity. Yet the truth remains unchanged beneath them. Just as the sun remains shining even when clouds obscure it. When one changes the declaration to truth, there is always enough. I can afford every good thing by divine right. Supply is infinite and flows to me now. The illusion dissipates, and reality is revealed. Infinite supply does not mean chaos or excess without order. It means there is always enough for every need, at the right time, in the right way. Just as the lungs are filled with exactly the right measure of air, not too little and not too much, so does divine supply provide precisely what is required for each moment. The mind that trusts this law rests in peace, knowing that demand is never real, only illusion created by doubt. In reality, there is always perfect provision. The illusion of demand can also be broken by remembrance of source. When one remembers that the universe itself is infinite, that divine mind is limitless, and that man is heir to this abundance, all sense of shortage vanishes. To believe in lack is to believe that infinity can be diminished, that the eternal can be exhausted, that the infinite storehouse can be emptied. Such a belief is absurd, yet it is the root of fear. To affirm instead that supply is infinite is to align with reality, and alignment with reality always brings demonstration. The truth of infinite supply is not distant, nor reserved for a few, but present here and now for all. It flows through ideas, through inspiration, through opportunities, through unexpected gifts. It waits only for recognition. The moment one accepts this truth in consciousness, the outer world rearranges to match it. The moment one rejects the illusion of demand, the flow of supply is felt. It is always there, waiting to be claimed, waiting to be allowed, waiting to be expressed.